All right, so typical Sunday, what do I do? I'm still working on cars. After the long week of all the big jobs, you're working on Sundays and you're also helping friends and family and I guess ex-girlfriends because this is one of my friends, which is an ex-girlfriend. She just asked for an oil change. Well, actually, at first she's like, I'm not dating your friend anymore. I'm like, I honestly, I don't really care, and so here we are. So I'm changing the oil. She needs a battery because she had to jump start it a couple times. Key fob battery's dead, and then she wants me to check the brakes because they're kind of squealy. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm just doing a full, check the brake lights, check all the running lights and stuff like that. After that, the ex-boyfriend's car is a 2008 Honda CRV, and this was just literally yesterday while I was at work. He texted me like, "Hey, all these warning lights are on the dash. I'll show you a picture." And then definitely the alternator stopped charging. So I picked up an alternator. It's on the floor over there, and then that's what I'm going to do today. But my family wants to go for dim sum at like 10:30 a.m. Right now it's 9 o'clock. So I got to get this one done. We're going to go to dim sum, come back, work on the CRV. And then my sister's got to bring her car over here because got to swap over her summer tires on her Porsche Cayenne. They're pretty big tires. They're pretty heavy. And they're stacked up on there. And then, yeah, that's my typical Sunday, I guess. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the easy stuff. The fob doesn't do anything. So how do you take the battery out of these keys? There is a little spring little thing right there. You just got to poke it, slide this top part off, and then pop I think this front cover off, and then you get the battery out. Let me show you. And this side slides off because you got to push this little tab that's in there. And then this, you got to cover right. There's a little indentation so you can pop the cover off. And then that comes out. So I don't have a battery, but if it's the same battery as my, Toyota key fobs, and I'll just take that, put it in here, and then I can always get a new battery at work. That's the key, but the battery is not the same as the Toyota one. Okay, so battery is in. This thing is like I think it's an 8-year-old battery, 7-year-old. March of 2018. We're in almost April 1st here, so 7-year-old battery. Other thing during my inspection, his belt's pretty cracked. I can see that. Yeah, you can see some cracks on the ribs there. And then let me show you the cabin filter, because when I see all of this, parks under a tree probably, I'm gonna definitely check the cabin filter. And where the cabin filter is on the Mazda 2s, it's a couple of screws right here behind this wire. So you just pop these screws off. There's a little gasket. You see there's a gasket that runs around. Make sure you put that back. But that's how you take it out. Just a couple screws. Screw up there, and then this cover comes right off to check your cabin filter. It's not behind the glove box. I don't think it looks too bad in there. I can't really see, but oh yeah, you can see a bunch of stuff in there. So nobody ever checks these cabin filters on these Mazdas, because the Mazda 3s are in a pretty bad spot, same spot, but the Mazda 2 is pretty easy. But you gotta get a vacuum down in there. So I guess next time I'll let her know. Probably needs a cabin filter, but there's a whole bunch of junk on the bottom. So if you want to clean it, stick a pretty narrow vacuum to get it in there to suck out all the leaves out of there. But definitely clean out all the debris on the cowl. So I'm just inspecting her brakes, right? Still got lots of material left, but whoever installed these brakes didn't even put the backing plate on. Same thing on this side. You can see the imprint of the piston. So those backing plates are just there to help dampen vibrations. Yeah. So I just clean up all the surfaces where they sit in, and I like to use this Honda Moly grease. If you want the part number, it's that. I think for this little tube, it's quite expensive if you want it, but this also comes in your box of brake pads. So it's just a tube of it. So that's what I have. But yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna clean up all the surfaces, put some lube on the contact areas, and see if the squealing, or technically it's vibrations, see if it goes away. And then yeah, just I guess when she needs brakes, I change the brakes, and then make sure all the hardwares are there. But yeah, while we're here, we might as well. I lubricate the slide pins, with just silicone grease. And typically, I like to service my brakes just right after wintertime when, after all the salt is all gone. That way you clean everything, all the contact here, make sure everything's free just before the summertime. That's when I usually like to do it, because you're technically, your brake service is once every year sort of deal. So that's the usual time where I like to do it. All right, so here in the back where you got drum brakes still. I honestly, I love drum brakes. They last forever. This thing almost has 100,000 kilometers, and your brake lining, they're practically brand new, so they last forever. The only thing I would recommend is, if you're servicing them, keep servicing them, because the more, as long as you get rid of all that brake dust that's collecting in there, and you clean everything, lubricate all your backing plates, check your wheel cylinders, these shoes will last you forever. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it lasts forever, but they'll go for like 400,000 kilometers or something, 200,000 miles. I don't know, before you got to change them. As long as you keep them serviced, clean, and get rid of all your brake dust. So you do it every year. Get rid of all that brake dust, and you'll never have any problems with replacing these. All right, Mazda 2 is out. Now I got to do the Porsche. Got to do some stretches before I lift these tires onto the hub and run into nuts. Not the nuts, they're bolts. So they're not stud and nuts. So gotta do some stretches, and lift these. The fronts are 285 45 21s, and then the rears 315 40 21s. I'll put these on for my sister. Oh yeah, check out the size of these brakes. They're like the size of the wheels on that Mazda 2 I did earlier. Here's my hands. See how small my hands are against these brakes? But yeah, anyways, stay in school, kids. Don't be like me. I had my sister was in here with my little nephew playing around when I was swapping the winter tires on, and my sister was like, "Do you want to be a mechanic?" And I'm like, "Hell no! You got to be something better than Uncle Jono here. Do something better than what I'm doing." But yeah. But like I said, he's a smart kid. He's just a little bit over 1. He's already kind of talking. You tell him, "Where's your head? Where's your eyes?" He's like pointing at it, and he does the little wave to you when you say hi. It's so cute. But yeah, they're at the cute stage right now. All right, so last time I programmed the tire pressure monitors on the winter set with the Autel, because she just picked up the wheels, and they were mounted and balanced and everything by the Porsche dealership, and they couldn't get her in the dealership to even install them onto the car, because they're so, I don't know, overbooked, or like they're booked way out, like months ahead, and she couldn't get an appointment in. So she asked me to do it, so I swapped them on for her, and then I had to figure out how to program the sensors to this car. So I wonder if it's just now, since I programmed those winter sets, all I have to do is switch. You go to the menu and you got to switch it over to the winter or summer set. So I think it's this thing. Something really cool. This whole thing's a screen, so you can actually watch Netflix on over there if you wanted to. Let's see, where was it? I mean, when I maybe I can just plug in the Autel and it'll tell me what to do. But not my it's not my expertise here. I don't work on Porsche tire pressure monitoring system. Tire selection R20 winter. So that was the winter. So they're 20-inch. So we're going to R21 summer, I think. Right, or all season. I think it was R21 season, 21-inch seasons. I believe that's what that is. And it's gonna start measuring. So you just gotta drive it and then let it do its thing. So if it comes back on, then I'll look at it. I can't remember if because I did program them and then it did the same thing, and then she had to drive it for a while before it actually learns everything. So that's it. I can kick this car out, give it back to my sister. Actually, my dad's gonna drive it to my sister's house, drop off this car, so I can grab his car to bring it back here. Because yeah, they're not here right now. So yep. And I'm also waiting for her sister to get back to me to get the keys, because the CRV is parked in front of the house. I can't get into it. I can't drive into the garage, so I can do the alternator on it. So it's just it's a waiting game right now. If I ever gonna do it today, if not, then I'm gonna probably come back here tomorrow to get that alternator in. All right, so we're losing light. I finally got the keys to the CRV, so I can put the alternator in. But the battery's so low because he limped it all the way here. I can't get it to start. So luckily, that battery I changed in his ex-girlfriend's car is still in the garage, and it's a 7-year-old battery, but it's still better than this battery. So I'm gonna quickly swap it into this car temporarily so I can get it running, and then drive it in the garage, charge this battery, because they just recently bought this battery too. And then tomorrow I'm gonna come in to my parents' place, and then I'm gonna put this alternator in. Oh man, 10 mil is all I need. And then here's the old battery. All right, temporarily installed the old battery. Gonna throw that in the back of the car and then drive it in the garage. All right, temporary battery is in. Start up. By the way, 150,000 kilometers. Battery light is on. So very common for these alternators to fail around this time. Probably the water pump soon too, but we're just gonna deal with the alternator first. So I'm gonna drive it in the garage. Oh, by the way, if you hear a whining noise, that's the alternator. A good sign of the alternator starting to fail is when it starts whining. And then when it completely fails, you get the battery light. So it's in the garage. I gotta park over a little bit because my dad's gonna come home and he wants to park in the garage too. So I gotta readjust. All right, move it over. But get the car in, and of course, gas light is on. He's a friend since high school, and he doesn't have a whole lot of money. He said he's gonna pay me in the next 2 weeks, so, or for the alternator anyways, because that's when he gets paid. And yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and we'll get this alternator replaced. All right, it's the next day. In the morning, I got the battery on nuclear, and then I took this wheel off because I'm gonna have to deal with the belt down there. I also put a floor jack underneath with a piece of wood under the oil pan, because how I like to do this from up here, especially because this one actually has a hydraulic power steering. If you get to the 2011, they went to electronic power steering, and you don't have this in the way, and it's just a regular idler pulley bracket. So what I like to do is I like to remove this power steering pump, and then I just remove this engine mount, and then that just gives me access to the tensioner pulley that's right here. So I can take the belt off. It's just right there. It's hard to see because it's behind the mount, so you got to remove that to, well, up here anyways. Pretty simple. You can do this at home, because I'm doing that at home too. So if you have an 08 CRV, yeah, if you need to do an alternator, they're pretty common. They start whining, and then once they once they're constantly whining, and then you get that battery charging light. So it's just like the Odyssey, where I made a video said don't ignore this noise. Yeah, the same thing. Okay, so there's something need to be said so you guys don't screw yourself while doing this job, because you're going to be removing this engine mount. Do not take that bolt out. A lot of times, you might be lucky, but a lot of the times, if you try to impact that bolt out, it either strips the threads out, and then, or yeah, once it comes out, and then it stops, and your impact gun won't be able to make it out, because that engine mount, it's absorbing all that impact, and it won't get that bolt out. And then you end up snapping it. So I always leave that bolt in, so that way you don't have to order another engine mount. So I just take these bolts out, take the one down there, and then the one down there, and then remove this, and then just the whole thing comes out. And don't just don't mess with that. There's so many times where I work with people, and they're like, "Ah, crap! I forgot. I shouldn't have taken that bolt out because it just basically, I guess, corrosion or whatever corrosion builds up inside the threads and everything. And as you're trying to take it out, it takes the threads with it, or it comes out halfway and then it stops because your impact gun won't be able to impact that bolt off. And then because of the engine mount, the rubber, it absorbs all the impact and it won't get it out. And then you either break the bolt or you can't run it back in. So that's just so you guys know. And if you're deciding to do this job, take the whole mount out as one piece. So there you have it. There's the engine mount off. I just took the 10 millimeter bolt off this AC line, gives you a little bit of slack. And then you can just, remember how your belt goes. All right, just take a look before you take it off. My belt tool, I got a couple of them. I keep one at work, but this one I keep at home. It's this snap-on one. It comes with a bunch of adapters that you can just click onto here. So this one's a 14. It'll go right onto the tensioner. Then I can just take the belt off. So yeah, it's nice and skinny. That's how I like it. So yeah, once you kind of move the power steering pump off to the side here, alternator, simple to get at, right? The positive terminal on the back there. You're gonna have to get the alternator out and turn it sideways to get that 10 millimeter off, because there's really no room behind or right beside the intake manifold. So yeah, that's the only other thing. Okay, so I got the alternator out, and this is the perfect time to check your pulleys, especially once you have the belt off. So we got the water pump. You spin it, it feels nice. There's no side-to-side play. Same with the AC compressor, no side-to-side play. And then when you get to the tensioner pulley, you can see the amount of play in that pulley. Let me show you. They do have some play, but I feel like this is excessive. But not only that, how you can also tell how a pulley or your bearings and your pulleys are bad. Same thing with if you have like a wheel bearing thing too. Just spin it, and if it sounds like that and it sounds kind of grindy, and it keeps spinning like that, you know it's bad. So also needs a tensioner pulley. So this guy won't be back for like another 2 weeks because he's gone to Thailand or something. And yeah, he's not going to pay me back until then for the alternator. And I have to drop this car back off to his dad. But yeah, I don't know. His dad gave the car to him, and he expects him to maintain it. But from his dad has a pretty hard accent. Sometimes I don't really understand it because he has that really strong Chinese dialect. I can't really understand it. Sometimes I can pick out some words, but a lot of the times I'm just like nodding and it's like yeah, don't worry, it's okay, stuff like that. And then I just imagine what I think he just said. Like, he's like, my son, I gave him a car, he expected to maintain it, but, he never really does anything to it. And then, always leaves the fuel tank on low all the time, so the gas light's always on. And when he needs to use it, it's like, there's no gas in it. And then, you know how that father and son thing, I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to get the alternator in, and then, just get this back and then hand the keys back to his dad. And then I'll try to talk to him and explain it, but I can't, it's so hard to explain what an alternator is in Chinese to him. And I just like, it's not charging. It's just not charging the battery. That's all I said. That's the only thing I know how to say in Chinese. Yeah, anyways. So the alternator I got is it's a Denso remanufacture alternator, because we had an OEM Honda one in stock, and guess how much it is? It is literally almost $800 for that Honda OEM alternator. This one, $250. So, yeah, he was not going to spend $800. Other than that, from what my parts department is going to say, after April 1st, because of the tariffs and stuff like that, He gave us an example, like our Honda 3.1 transmission fluid. It's going up by $50, and that transmission fluid is already expensive. Now it's even more expensive. But I don't know. I don't know how anybody's gonna survive living here with how expensive everything is now. But I don't know. We'll make it. Hopefully, how I'm contributing is trying to help friends, families, their families, friends, and to because cost of car repairs are expensive nowadays, especially when door rates are pretty high. They're into like the 200s, and yet us mechanics did not get a raise. Yeah, and we're doing more work because we're doing videos to upsell for the customers and what they need, like brakes, and we're doing the videos for them, which all the advisor has to do is just send a video and then it's already sold, but they get paid a commission. I don't know. That's what everybody's complaining about at work. How come we got to spend our time and then we're also waiting for the advisor to do their job to actually send the video, and then all they have to do is press a button, I guess. But yeah, I made a video. I think there was one time somebody in the shop was like, he spent the whole day, only made 3 or 4 hours, and if he had to work at a McDonald's, he would have got paid more working a full shift at McDonald's at minimum wage. that was a funny joke, but it was true though. For that one day, it's just like you're waiting on advisors to do their job, and But at the same time, I enjoy the big jobs because I told my shop foreman, I was like, thank you for all the big jobs, because my blood pressure's gone down, and like I don't have to deal with the advisors. I can just cruise on the whole entire day doing one big job, head gasket, turbos, piston rings or something if I had those, timing cover, VTC actuators, all those things. I try to take them all. Like, my next door neighbor is like, oh, you got one of those? Can I, if you don't want to do it, I'll do it. I'll take it. Keep my blood pressure down. Let's see how is our battery after charging it. .500 CCA. And it's good. All right, stick it in. Let's make sure that battery light is out, and then I'm gonna send it off to his dad's place. All right, let's start her up. So alternator light is out, gas light is on. But yeah, radio code, that's locked, so I gotta open that up and then put the radio. But yeah, anyways, so let me know down in the comments how you guys spend your weekend. If you're a mechanic or stuff like that, what do you do on the weekends? This is how I spend my weekend. I actually kind of enjoy doing this at home rather than doing it at work. Blood pressure's lower here, not as my blood pressure isn't as high as it is at work. So anyways, I enjoyed your comments. I love every one of them. I love responding to you guys. Try to be in the comments as much as I can. I usually sit in my car half an hour before my shift starts and answer all your comments, except the ones that are telling me I talk too much. Sound like my wife. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, check out the link down below to my Amazon affiliate store, and I'll see you next time. And we are charging 14.2 volts.